I do believe that things like design, technology, change, these words that we use, they're kind of like the Force, like the Jedi Force, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's neither good or evil. The Force is the Force. It just depends
Yeah.
on, am I Jedi or am I Sith, right? For all the
Yep.
Star Wars, and let's be clear, I'm not that deep into Star Wars. I just
Oh, I
know,
was about to say you're speaking my language a little bit.
I just know enough to have a quasi nerdy conversation. Just
All right,
enough,
quasi nerdy.
Right.
I love that. What is good, y'all? It is your boy Jonathan Dumas, and this is Highly Visible and a Little Misunderstood, the show where we talk to the people we see every day because we don't know what we miss until we miss them. Y'all, we are in the thick of it. We only have a few episodes left in our series on joy, and let me just say, personally, I've been listening back to the episodes, and y'all, say it with me, fire. I've really been enjoying this season. It's been incredible to listen back to some of the conversations I had, some of the friends that I've had, and we still got a few more for y'all that are absolutely amazing and encouraging and all those things, and really exploring all aspects of joy. Speaking of which, last week, if you did not catch it, I chopped it up with my friend, somatic coach and facilitator Abe Medoff, to unpack, how breath, presence, and emotional range really become that scaffolding we need to feel real joy, connection, and get to a place of resilience. Personally, I've listened to it for 3-4 times. I've just been, job searching's hard, y'all. And the world is hard. And to be quite honest with you, like, I've just been feeling very, very sad. And I was trying to not be sad and like push away the sadness, and I just found myself being more and more sad. And so I was just like, listening to the conversation last week on repeat almost was really helpful to like just connect with that sadness and like sit with it and be okay with being sad. And I feel much better. Obviously I'm not 100%, like shit is still hard emotionally, but it's just it just feels different to like embrace that emotion and become friends with your emotions. More on that later. But I would recommend, if you're in the same similar place, cue that episode up next. It was really, really good. But this week, y'all, I am sitting down with my friend, Louis Byrd. He is the Chief Architect of Responsible Innovation at Xanago Design. We talk about finding joy in these small, intentional ways, and choosing it how it shows up, y'all. Whether it shows up or not. Lewis talks about being solution oriented, especially in overwhelming times, and how presence can shift a room without saying a word, and why operating within your own sphere of influence might be the most sustainable way to create change. And as I was editing this episode, y'all, I was really reminded very, very quickly, like, joy isn't always loud. You know what I mean? It's not always confetti and rainbows and puppies. Sometimes joy is very quiet. Sometimes joy damn near feels dormant. Like it is there. You know it's there. You know you'll eventually be able to tap into it. But when things are overwhelming, when things are chaotic, when things don't feel like, when situations, circumstances, experiences don't feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, like it's really difficult to feel joy. And I'm just, this conversation reminded me of that. I'm so thankful and appreciative and honored that Lewis shared so much with us, So y'all are in for a very vulnerable and honest conversation about choosing a path toward joy, and finding solutions to make it possible along the way. So get ready. It was a good one, y'all. This is a good conversation. Before we dive into the conversation with my guy Lewis, I want to just real quick clear out, y'all. There are 3 easy ways to support the show, and I just want to be more intentional about this because I don't ask a lot all the time, and so I just want to clear out. Let's just make it happen. You know what I mean? There's 3 easy ways to support the show. The first one, if you are watching on YouTube, it would be super helpful if you hit that like button, hit subscribe, drop a comment, maybe share, what resonates with you from the conversations. And I have a goal of hitting 100. We are at 90. We are 10 away. Goal of 100 subscribers on YouTube by the end of August. Between YouTube and especially on the audio side, we should hit 100 easy. Like, we have so many followers, so many subscribers on audio. So I would love it, y'all, if you could take a moment just to hit that subscribe button, get us to 100 on YouTube. Audio listeners, if you have not already, leave us a quick 5-star rating, leave us a review. It would be dope. It really, really helps folks discover the show. Bonus points, whether you're listening on audio or if you're watching on YouTube, if you subscribe everywhere, you won't miss us at all. You'll always be able to tap in with us wherever everything's going on. Finally, y'all, and this is for everyone, you can financially support the show by clicking our coffee link down in the show description. Your financial support helps keep Reggie getting paid. I have paid Reggie every single month since he has been our intern here, and I want to give this dude a promotion by the end of this year. Like, he is, he's damn near a producer. Shout out Reg. You know what I mean? And it really helps keep the lights on, for the shows, that is, because this thing ain't free, y'all. So I would appreciate any and all things that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anything else? I think that's it. Y'all, it is time to get into this conversation with my guy, Louis. Here it is. I'm just going to let's just go into the conversation. I'm really excited to chat with you, Louis, and dive into this. We had a really cool conversation offline a few weeks ago. But thank you so much for coming on to the show. Really appreciate you for coming through.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So before we dive into everything that we're going to be talking about, obviously the theme for this season is joy and different facets of joy. And the perspective we're going to come at it today is something that I actually wasn't thinking about when I first did the theme. But when we were talking, it was just oh, hell yeah, this makes so much sense around being solution oriented and creative in problem solving. So we're going to dive into that a little bit later, but I want to open the floor to you for me to ask my favorite question is who is Louis? Anything and all things, how you want to share who you are. The floor is yours. So I'm just going to let you do your thing, brother.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, my name is Louis Byrd. Professionally, I am a founder, as well as what I made up a title, and I really did. It's called Chief Architect of Responsible Innovation, which is also called a carry. So I made that, some shit I made up. I like the sound of it. I put it out there, and
I like that. people respond well to it. They're like, "Oh, he's important." And it's like, "Yep, yeah. That's right." so yeah, man. In terms of career stuff, I am a designer, technologist kind of person. Dare I say futurist? I know that's a little taboo to say that. People be coming down "Oh man, you one of those guys." But no, I really do like to fancy myself as a futurist. Music person, music producer, but more importantly than career, I am a husband. I am a father. I am a son, a brother. I say I'm a good friend. Okay.
I will say that. Now let's see what the friends say, right?
Yeah. You probably got some other words or something like that.
Yeah, got some other words,
Yeah.
One starts with an A, ends with
yeah.
hole, so that's all right. I'll take it, but I'm a very conscious a-hole. So that being said, I'm a creative. I'm a lot of things. I'm an empath. So sometimes I get a little bit emotional and I don't like it. But I'm learning how to control that and not to allow it to overtake me, which I think is going to be a fascinating part of our conversation around joy, right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
This is kind of coming full circle here.
I know. I love it. There was something you said in there that I'm like, well, there's a couple things, because I've heard the term futurist and stuff like that, but I have never thought about it as a negative. why did you say like, oh, people might come down on the
Because, man, you
futurist
got
kind of-
haters out here, man. Like,
Oh, okay.
I'm not making this up, bro. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
there is a guy. Someone tagged me on LinkedIn to some fancy guy that he's a founder of a couple tech companies, and he's having this private gathering of like-minded people, and it's invite only. And somebody tagged me. It's like, Louis, you should apply to go. But when I was reading the dude's description, he was like, we only want real people here. So if you have names like Chief Innovation Officer, or
right.
you consider yourself a futurist, or Forbes 30 under 30, you're not invited. I'm like, see, you're the kind of person that you're trying not to have there. You're the
Yeah.
asshole, right?
Yes,
So-
yes.
And I
All
said
right,
that
got
on
you.
a LinkedIn post, like, you know,
Yeah.
and he never responded, but
Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny. That's so interesting to me, and this actually connects to what we're talking about. It's like, what is that? Like, you're not trying to be like future minded, or even trying to see like forward thinking
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't know. I feel like that was a jab at millennials. I feel like that person was taking a jab at was he
This
older,
dude-
or was he?
No, this dude
he was
was
a millennial?
younger than me.
Oh wow! All right,
He's probably
yeah,
closer to your age, man, or maybe
Yeah.
we're the same age. Like he's definitely a millennial. He's not like some boomer or Gen Xer,
Okay, well,
or
never
even
mind.
a
I
Gen
take it
Zer
back.
talking. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, bro, like why are you acting like this, man? Like,
Yeah, that's so interesting. That's really, really interesting. I don't even know. Yeah, I would. What? Why?
hater, man. It's haters.
Hater. Yeah.
Hater. That's it.
Yeah. And there was also another thing that you talked about. And I actually, a little peek behind the curtain, was going to bring it up as far as like a question I was going to ask around ethical innovation. I think that's what you said, ethical innovation. And
Responsible
I've never
innovation, but yeah.
responsible innovation. Like, I've never actually heard that term. So what does that mean to you? Responsible innovation.
I love it, man. Great question. Responsible innovation, it really is as simple as I can put it, is being responsible about what you're creating. And what I mean by responsibility is taking into consideration the social aspect of what you're developing. So to give you a concrete example, if I am a startup company and I'm leveraging AI to do something fancy, whatever that thing is. Everybody's on AI these days, right? And I'm leveraging AI to meet my business objective. Well, in me using the AI, am I being responsible? Let's say, for example, if I create a startup and it's constantly using generative AI for like image creation or video creation, and I'm trying to scale that to millions and millions of people to use my technology that I integrated to do generative AI and image generation specifically. Well, there's a responsibility that comes to that. The responsibility piece is that, as of right now at least, generating images, it's like, one thing I read said it's like a single image uses like the amount of energy that's needed to like a car battery, right? So if you like multiply that by like millions of people, well, imagine all
shoot.
the harm that you're putting on the earth, all the energy. People don't realize that when we're using technology, that energy comes from someplace. Those servers have to be powered and all this just different things, and you're just adding more and more carbon to it. So that's one example. Or if I'm using like facial recognition, the responsibility is making sure that my large language model is actually inclusive and it recognizes people like us, man. You know, Jonathan, me and you, we chocolate brothers, right?
Yeah, we are. We are.
You know what I'm saying? we that Hershey, we that, you know,
Yes.
we chocolate.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So that being said, a lot of facial recognition software does not recognize us, and it can lead to an issue to where if I'm a judge or a police officer and I'm using facial recognition to track down a suspect, and we so happen to be, you know, slender brothers with brown skin, all of a sudden we're going down for something, right?
Yeah.
That we didn't even do, right? So it's about being responsible, knowing what you're doing with your technology, understanding how it impacts the world around you as well as people in the world, your employees, all these things. So it's just taking a moment and saying, this is some cool shit we're developing,
Yeah.
but let's pause and let's think about it through the lens of ethical considerations, the inclusive considerations, and the sustainability considerations. So that makes sense,
Okay.
man? Like, I
Yes,
know
it
that was
absolutely
a
does.
lot, but
No, it absolutely does. It's like really paying attention to like it, just the whole process. Like
That's
not
it.
just like make it something great, but like also what happens after. Like,
Exactly.
and that's where the futurist comes from. It's like we're not just building this for just tomorrow, but like what about a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What is the impact of this
Yeah.
product, of this invention, of this software service, whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Which I've been in rooms where like people did not care about that. Like they just wanted to make the money.
That's
What got you
majority
to the
of
point?
rooms.
Yes.
What got me to
What
this
got
point?
you? Yeah, like to just like think differently about shit you're creating.
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I think what got me there is something I mentioned earlier. I am an empath, so I recognize or I feel other people's whatever emotion they may have, right? You know, and I kind of absorb it. But more on the head or on the nose, what got me there is being black. Like
Yeah.
being a black man, being a black man that came from a family of love, but not necessarily a family that had all the privileges. Me growing up, I definitely had a level of privileges that maybe some of my other friends didn't have. But I mean, my family, my parents were working class people, so it was a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul. It was all those things, and me living in the Midwest, specifically Missouri, specifically Kansas City, all areas that are just to me, the Midwest is a perfect representation of the spirit or the soul of America. There's a lot of things that happen here that you don't necessarily get on either coast or even areas of the South. It's like there's churches, there's niceness, there's all these things, and then at the same time we'll stab you in the back, and we don't want your kind across this line. So
Yeah.
for me, what got me to really thinking about this was really focusing on my lived experience, the experience of my family, my extended family, my community, and just people that look like me across the world who are often not considered when people are building products or they're building businesses. They don't really take us into consideration until it's time to exploit us. So for me, it was like that's what drew me into design to begin with. Technology, I do believe technology is the equalizer. Forget what Donald Trump says. He did not make up the word equalize.
He literally did it. That was
He
wild,
did
bro.
not.
That is. Actually, you're the one I saw that posted that. Yes, that's where I saw that. I was
Okay.
like, what the heck? Yeah, I was like, where did I see that from?
Yeah, he did not make up that word, but technology can be a great equalizer. It just I always think of these things kind of like, and this kind of gets back to a saying I always say: change happens by design. I do believe that things like design, technology, change, these words that we use, they're kind of like the Force, like the Jedi Force, right? It's neither good or evil. The Force is the Force. It just depends on, am I Jedi or am I Sith, right? For all the Star Wars, and let's be clear, I'm not that deep into Star Wars. I just know.
Oh, I was about to say, you're speaking my language a little bit.
I just know enough to have a quasi nerdy conversation. Just
All right,
enough,
quasi nerdy.
Right?
I love that. All right.
Well, once we start getting to the trenches, I'm gonna get lost. I'm gonna tell you there, but I can go there just enough, right?
I feel you.
But that's what design is. That's what change is. It's neither good. It's neutral. It's not good or bad. It's all about how you use it.
Yeah.
So for me, getting back to the point, of the topic, when we talk about what led to me becoming a designer or getting into the space, it really was me looking at my world around me and saying, well, what can I do to have a positive change, a positive impact on my community and uplift my community? What can I do? What skills do I have? And what can I bring and offer to help uh, not only just my people, but anyone that's been historically excluded? And then those who have not been historically excluded can also benefit from what we created. So,
Yeah, I really do like that perspective, and it what is interesting about that is like I was listening to something before. It was the Code Switch podcast, and I want to make sure that I get this right because I said his name. There we go, Viet Nguyen. He was getting interviewed on there because he has a new book coming out, and he wrote The Sympathizer. He's a professor at USC. I told my wife I want to take a class from him because the man is brilliant. Just like the way he was contextualizing and breaking things down in the interview to things I've thought about for years, but he just did it so simply and easily. Just wow. So he came here as a Vietnamese refugee with his parents, and he's been here ever since. Like he's American, yada yada yada. But he basically talked about how it's very easy for somebody who has been a victim or been oppressed to have kind of like there's two ways to go about it. I don't like binaries, but this is how he broke it down.
yeah.
He said the one way that you could do it is that when you come into a position of power, authority, ability to oppress or victimize someone else, that you do that and you justify it, right? That is your own victimization and oppression is your way to justify the victimization and oppression of others.
Right.
He even used the example of 9/11, Israel with Palestine, like so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Which I knew that inwardly, right? But he said the other way, in a more emotionally processed way, so a more elevated way, is to look at your own victimization and oppression and things that you went through and say, I will not allow this to continue.
Yes.
And do a different way. It gives you that empathy, right? As you were saying. And that's like, that perspective just like, he just broke it down so easy. I'm like, yes, why couldn't I say that? But like, that's even what you're getting at too. And I even love the way that you're saying like, you know what? I don't want this to happen anymore. And so I want to create solutions and be a creative problem solver. Like, how do we fix this shit that's going on? Like, because there are so many things that are fixable. So how do we become solution oriented? And I know we talked about offline when we first talked, and I love this perspective around being solution oriented as a response to just the chaos that we see currently in our world, but just often what we see. And sometimes it can be just overwhelming. So for you, what does it mean to be solution oriented in a world that is that may feel sometimes like problem saturated?
That's a great question. I think that the most important thing is for anyone to recognize that you have to focus on what you can actually control. There are so many issues throughout the world, so many problems, so many even solutions to approach them, right? I think it's important to recognize and have that self-reflection or that inner knowledge of self, knowing that here's what I can do, right? So Louis Byrd may not, as of right now, be able to solve world hunger, right? But maybe what I can do is solve the issue of a food desert in my neighborhood, right? And maybe what I can do is it's as simple as me getting a piece of land that costs $1 from the city that they're not taking care of, and saying we're going to cultivate this land and create a community garden, and maybe we'll start there, right? And I think that when it comes to solutions, there's as many problems as there are in the world. There's a solution everywhere if you just look at it with a certain lens of being open-minded, looking at it and trying to think about different angles of how something can be solved. And then an important question that I ask myself and the people I work with all the time, my team, well, why won't this work? We always talk about how to make something work, right? You know, but to me, the most important question is why won't it work? And if we can figure those gaps out, now that gives us something to work with, right? So, you know, Jonathan, to answer your question, man, it's really about, for me, looking at the issues that exist in the world and then just kind of like saying, here's what I can do with the knowledge that I have, the skills that I have, and the resources that I have available. Here's something that I can tackle directly. And then if that is successful, or even if it fails, I learn something from it, and now I can move on to the next thing. And then how do I partner with people who are smarter than me to help me figure out something to solve the next issue? So I'm not sure 100% if that answered your question directly, but to sum it up, man, you know, I really think about the solutioning as being more intentional about here's what I can do. As long as you're doing something, and hopefully something positive, right? You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what's important. You know, you don't have to feel like you have to try to take on the entire world, and sometimes I get wrapped up in my own head doing it, but it's like, let me just focus on what I can do right now, and then putting that out in the world and seeing what happens.
No, I I like that answer because I think when I think about all the things that I come across, so my brain is moving a mile a minute all the time. And you just go on social media, you can find 10 different things and causes that you want to take up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Walking down the street, you know, all kinds of stuff. I live in LA, and like the unhoused population has increased like exponentially since 2020. But we're also been in a housing crisis for years, right?
Yeah.
So like there's so many overlapping issues that literally, like me, I'm an empath too. Like I get so over, like my emotions go over the top that like I become numb, and that's when I know like, oh that's like there's something that doesn't work either, right? And so I appreciate the approach of like, actually let's like just take a beat. What is like within my sphere of influence? What can I do? Yeah. And like what's even within my power to do? And another additional question that I would add on top of the one that you asked around what are some of the barriers or the problems, or why wouldn't this work, is like, am I the person to make this work, right? Maybe there are other people to partner with and collaborate with, or maybe they're just like, there's other people that are doing this work and I actually don't need to. Maybe it's like funny. There's other ways that you could support the work and be a problem solver in that way. It just becomes, I think oftentimes we get stuck in the mindset of like, just want to talk about the problems.
Yeah, and that's the easy part. You know what I'm saying? Everyone, you know, I've always been the person to say that, you know, it's easy to identify the problem. It's easy to address symptoms, but what caused the symptom, right?
Yeah.
What is the root cause? That's the part that many people want to ignore, right? We can, so for example, here in the United States, we can talk about the disparities, the healthcare disparities, and education gaps, and wealth gaps, and all these things. And we can talk about the symptoms, you know, symptoms being poor education, crime, you know, again, economic gaps, wealth gaps where people just can't afford. And people will address those things by creating programs or throwing millions of dollars towards it or donating to NAACP. But you never got to the root cause, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's where we got to go to, you know, to really address the issue. And that's what I really care and I'm more passionate about is, can we get to the root cause of the issue, and can we tackle that, right?
Yeah.
Or easy
Yeah.
to talk about problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's something that you're getting at too around yeah, there's not a lot of people or groups or folks that want to like get to the root issue, right? They see the, I'm going to feed I'm going to feed the unhoused, or I'm going to do that, right? Um, or shelters, but not creating more homes, or not putting out legislation or voting in folks that will advocate for legislation that will make it easier to build more homes, and not just more homes, but affordable housing. Like there's just so many
Yeah.
different layers. But
Slay.
it does take like I think a mindset too, to be like solution oriented, and we're going to like create like a real true problem solver, not
Yeah.
like the symptom solver, like the problem. What is the actual issue?
Yeah.
And to me, like we talked about this, but I think that there's like some kind of connection between kind of having like that solution oriented or problem solving like mindset and joy, and like being able to like get in the shit and figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's a connection for me. I truly believe that there's something there, but I want to know for you, like, do you believe that there's a connection there? If so, what is it? How would you break that down for yourself?
Man, that's a loaded question in a good way.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
In a
If
good
it's a
way.
good way.
In a good way. I'll be transparent with you, Jonathan. One of the things is the reason why I do the work that I do, the reason why I'm so passionate about it, the reason why I haven't given up, is because I I am still searching for this idea of joy, of what that may look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am intelligent enough to understand that no one can give you happiness except for yourself, not your
Yeah.
wife, not your kids. And I'm living that. I'm learning that
Mm-hmm.
happiness, it is something that you got to find within you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even for those who are like, uber religious or consider themselves spiritual, you know, even the higher beings or God, you have to find that inside of you. It doesn't happen at a church or a synagogue or places like that. It's in you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, man, 7 years of my life has been a living hell. I will say this past 7 years has been extremely rough. It goes back to housing. Fortunately, my family was not put in a position where we were houseless,
Mm-hmm.
or there was a short stint where we was unhoused when we was in transition. But it was just like it's been blow after blow living in my living conditions, and that creates a lot of stress, and that's what led to me saying, how can I fix this so no one else goes through what my family has gone through and is currently still going through when it comes to our housing situation. The housing situation being specifically that we my wife and I entered into home ownership back in 2018 with the idea of building something generational for our kids. We have 2 young boys, and we felt like it was time for us to go ahead and do the adult things, buy a house,
Yeah.
and we did that. We pursued that aspect of the American dream. Everything appeared to be right. We got a great loan from something called a FHA 203K. It's a government loan. And everything was supposed to go right, but it was all hell. And our loan was ended up being sold to a company called PennyMac Loan Services. If you ever come across them, avoid them, as if they have COVID, the plague, and herpes all wrapped up in one,
Oh
and
God.
coming to give you a kiss. You say,
Yeah.
hell no, PennyMac, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
If you can, run from them.
Yeah.
Just to give you context, PennyMac was founded by many of the VPs and managers that came out of a company called Countrywide Financial. And for those in the audience who may be old enough to remember Countrywide Financial, they were the leading company that led to the 2008 housing crisis. They did a
Oh
whole
no.
bunch of subprime lending, and these things disproportionately impacted the black community, specifically black women who were buying up a lot of those subprime loans back in the early 2000s. And PennyMac, their managers got away with it, and they turned around and they started a new company called, or Countrywide. Their managers got away with it, and they turned around and started a new company called PennyMac, and they're, you know, I feel that they're doing the same thing again. But that being said, that company, my wife and I, we finance money to rehab our home. That's part of the FHA program. And we had a couple bad contractors. It was just horrible work. The work was not done correctly. It was verified by HUD consultants who are part of the process. And PennyMac would still pay these contractors our funds that we financed, even though the work wasn't right. And my family, we lived in a house for about 7 months that was a complete construction site. And at that time, our boys was 4 and 2 years old. I don't know if you can imagine, but trying to contain little kids in one room. And when I say construction site, we was walking on bare subfloor, broken windows.
Like legit construction site.
We didn't have a kitchen.
Wow.
We had one running bathroom, which, you know, that's kind of like some first world stuff there, because we had one running bathroom, but at least, you know, that was it. But the hot water, the plumbing lines were backwards, so if you flushed the toilet, you would get scolded. It was all kind of health and safety issues in the house.
The world, wow, that's terrible. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, man.
What the hell?
And but that being said, man, we my wife and I took all our money that we had and available credit, to put towards fixing this house, because PennyMac refused to release the funds to us to allow us to fix it, even though they was paying all these contractors who did the bad work. And from that point, man, I would say this in a heartbeat. I think, that it is worse. I think that I would rather be physically unalived than financially unalived. Because at least physically, if I'm no longer here, I ain't got to deal with this shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Financially, that is the worst. Every single day, it is hard to pull yourself out of debt, out of not having things. And fast forward, man, that led to my wife and I creating Xanago, led to us building our first product, Catawba, which is all about transparency in real estate. But honestly speaking, man, we are still going through trying to heal, and I'm still trying to tap into that level of joy for myself, to find that and to really grasp it and hold on to it. I have joyful moments, but I know that, you know, there's a lot of shit going on that I still haven't dealt with and processed fully.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Really do appreciate you like sharing so honestly and vulnerably. I think the interesting thing about that is like you started off by saying like, I'm still trying to find this because I don't know where to find it at. Yeah. And just obviously going through what you went through, it makes a lot of sense, because I feel like there's so much underneath that of like, yeah, you do this big thing, you feel like it's going to work out, you feel like folks are supposed to have you back and they don't. And so like that goes like what we were talking about before around, fuck it, I'm not gonna let anybody else go through this, because this was just like this horrendous like thing, and using that as a mode and boost and motivator to like create this thing. And so I think, yeah, at the heart of it, like you got to it of like, you might not feel joy right now, there's moments of that, but like until I feel that, I don't want anybody to feel what I'm feeling now. Like I want folks to just experience like the goodness of like buying a home, or being able to fix the home, or knowing what questions to ask to a contractor, or how to hold that contractor account. Like just so many different things. So I just appreciate that story. And even me and my as me and my wife look ahead, like 2 to 3 years, we're hoping to make that step to buy a home. And like that is like my biggest fear, that we make this big investment. And I don't know all the stuff. Like, I'm handy, but I'm not like that handy. And that's terrifying to me, of like trusting somebody. Because I just have some friends too who've gone through something similar, trusting somebody, and they just fuck around. Like, it's just wild to me.
Real estate is grimy. As a homeowner, as the person, the customer, Jonathan, listen to me, man. Like, when I say there's no real protections for us, everything is in favor of everyone else. Your realtor, their incentive is, one may think, and we've made this mistake, one may think that, okay, well, my realtor has my back. Well, no, your realtor is, you're a transaction. Their job is to try to get you into a house as fast as they can so they can make a commission. The mortgage company, same deal. They want to get you in and supplemental origination fees and get you locked in so they can make money hands over fist, right? Whether it's the originator and then they sell it to a servicer who just takes it, and that all the servicer in the mortgage industry is just a glorified debt collector, and that's how they make their money. So they bank on you to have late payments. They bank on you to go into foreclosure, because companies like PennyMac makes way more money on your failure than they do you actually being in good standing. And then, contractors, the same deal. It's called a contractor for a reason. There's no such, that was a bad dad joke, by the way, people.
Yeah.
But there's no such thing as a good contractor, in my opinion, just those who aren't as bad. So that over this process, we learned so much. And the thing I would add on to what you were saying about, the home ownership thing is, really, man, going through this, especially when you have a family, especially when you have children, or even yourself, honestly, is you want to come home and be safe. I think that, in Maslow's hierarchy, I believe shelter is the bottom of the pyramid. And you don't really realize that until either A, you end up in a situation where you are houseless and you're literally out on the streets and trying to find shelter, or B, another level of housing insecurity is if you live in a house that is in constant disrepair. Like, that is so much stress trying to figure out, how do I fix it? I know that I have this issue. It costs me $5,000 to fix it, and I don't have $5,000. But we're breathing in mold, right?
Yep.
There's levels to it, man, and I think that many people don't understand it, and I think there are a lot of people who are privileged to be fortunate enough to never have to deal with those kind of issues. But we're all just one paycheck or one injury away from being in a worse situation.
Yep. And there's a lot of studies that show that a lot of people actually are living closer to paycheck than they realize, because it's just one hospital. You're right. Car breaking down, one hospital trip.
$400. That's all it takes. Research shows that all it takes is $400 of an unexpected expense that can derail your entire financial situation.
Yeah, and then you're playing catch up.
That's agnostic of how much money you make. If you don't have that cushion, that's all it takes. It's $400, and in housing, that $400 is what leads to what's called a liquidity shock, which for mortgage companies is the path to defaulting, which is the path to foreclosure. That's it, man. $400. So, Jonathan, you may have to start stripping if you want to get that house.
Well, stripping or OnlyFans or something. I don't know.
One of them, right?
Yeah, I'm already good with the camera, so we might
there you go.
Well, there's something that, like, we've been talking about or alluding to. I think that there's when I think about like when I see a problem, I see a challenge. Like I've just been through too much shit in my life to just be like, this is impossible to fix or whatever. Like I recognize that I have limitations. I recognize this, but I don't see a dead end. I'm gonna find a way to get to where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious for you. Do you think that people underestimate how much joy, or maybe even if it's not joy, I don't know what the other feeling is, but joy, peace, clarity, whatever, can come from simply just like doing something or acting or changing or implementing trying to solve a problem that's like within the reach. Because I know you felt on the opposite end where it just kind of felt like overwhelming and didn't really actually have a solution, but like you all created one later on. So I'm curious for you, like, do you feel like people just underestimate that just from somebody who's experienced it?
Yeah, I think people underestimate themselves in many ways. I think people underestimate their ability to weather a storm. It's not easy. Right before our call, my wife and I was upstairs talking about some financial things. How are we going to be able to continue forward with our mortgage? Or should we sell this house? Should we? These are real things, right? That I think that a lot of people are dealing with, or paying utility bills when, utility companies, they're like the mafia, man. They do what they want, and there's nothing you can do about it.
They just said they want their money. That's
they
all.
Want
they
their
want
money.
their money.
Or we're gonna cut your shit off, and what you gonna do about it, right?
Yep.
And I think that people severely underestimate their own inner strength. And part of that could be because they've never been taught, or they never seen an example of pushing through the storm. And I am a believer that this past 7 years, that what my family has gone through, it is for a reason. Prior to this, we were good. We were fine. And I believe, though, in order to get to something greater, you have to go through something to get through something, if that makes sense. So it's like people underestimate themselves, and I think that people underestimate how you can find semblance or aspects of joy even through some of your toughest times. That's why I said earlier that, I'm still seeking a level of joy to where it is constant. I am just genuinely joyful and happy. People say it all the time, oh man, you woke up today, you should be happy. Yeah, but I can also acknowledge that I am not happy. There's a lot of stressful shit going on, and it's not just me, it's what's going on in the world. But in there, in the midst of all that the shit, right, there is an aspect of joy that you can find. So for me, I find joy every Friday night, well, almost every Friday night, when my family and we go upstairs and we call it Film Family Fridays. And we just watch movies with the kids. We eat bad junk food, and we stay up a little bit later. And I'll be trying to put my kids on movies that I watched as a kid growing up. And sometimes they like them. Sometimes they be like, you're old, right? I'm like, dude, how can you not like Goonies? Like, Goonies is a classic, bro. Like, cut it out. Like, but that's where I find joy. Or I'll find joy when I'm working on music and I'm writing a new house track and I'm just having fun doing it. I find joy there. I find joy with my wife when we're just up late watching TV and watching things like Pop the Balloon and saying, damn, aren't you glad that we ain't single? Because it is rough out there. These folks
it's
out
rough.
there. Woo,
Dude,
right?
You can't do nothing.
You can't do nothing, man.
I saw a brother who I was like, I mean, the dude's a 10. He's a 10. He's a 10. Every single girl popped their balloon. I said, God damn, if he can't win, I don't know what's going on.
I'm always sizing myself up when I watch that show.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't make it. They're like, oh, you ain't got no hair? Pop. Oh, your head too small for your body? Pop. Like, it's like, man, come on now. Like,
Yeah.
but these are the things I find joy in. And I find joy in writing, and sharing my thoughts with people. So I find fleeting moments of joy, and I try my best to grab hold to those moments, and hold on to them. But I can also be very honest with myself and with those listening, you, anybody, and saying that I'm still a work in progress, trying to find that next level of joy that's just a little bit more sustainable. I understand that it's not necessarily always going to be that way, but just trying to get back or become a different version of myself. When I say get back to how I was prior to the events that's taken place this past 7 years. I was I won't say a lot, but I was a little bit happier in many ways. And I'm trying to, I don't even want to say trying to get back to that. I'm trying to get to a different level of that, you know? So that's just my take, man. Just to sum that up, is that joy, people underestimate themselves and finding that joy even in your worst situations. There's always there is an opportunity to find at least a little bit of joy in something, you know. So
yeah, I appreciate that. I think what is interesting is that we have a tendency, we as in big we, the collective we, all of us, folks listening, watching, whatever, want to lean into this idea of like, yeah, I'm not happy right now, but like it's whatever, right? You know what I mean? And I think what I find inspiring but also grounding, and I'm thankful that you shared this perspective. Didn't know we were going here, but I'm still thankful for it anyways, because I think it is very easy to dismiss what we're feeling. Very, very easy. And I think what you are sharing with us, me, is like the process of like trying to get back or go work through, but still like saying like there are these moments, but they're not as high. And I think that's the realization that I've had recently around joy, around emotions, that like human beings, and listeners, they've heard this so many times, but I'm never going to stop saying it. Humans are complicated. We are very complex, and it's it's quite possible to feel both joy and sorrow at the same exact moment.
yes,
Grief and triumph, happiness and anger, frustration and annoyance. Like we could feel all of these things. There's actually a psychological term for it. I can't remember it right now, but I just really appreciate this approach, and I think that it's a lot more grounded. And I feel like some people, and I even found myself feeling like uncomfortable with the fact of like, no, just be happy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, or you want to do that. But I think the invitation here, one, for myself, but also I think what you're actually inviting folks to do, and I don't know if you did this on purpose, but is that like we are strong and we can get through our circumstances, and like shit happens, and like shit sucks and the world sucks, and yes, that exists, but like those don't have to weigh you down. Like you don't have to live there. You can admit and like own and be there. But like there are moments if you find them. There are moments if you seek them out. There are moments if you choose to experience them. So I just like really, really appreciate it. Even for somebody who's like as solution and problem oriented as yourself. Like you literally created 2 companies to combat big problems, right?
yeah.
So I appreciate that. Truly, Louis.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you recognizing it. And you know, the thing I would say, is, I guess one of my final thoughts will be, you know, just, you said it beautifully, that human beings are complex, and that's life, right? You know what I'm saying? That is the nature of things, is it is always going to be in engineering speak, sinusoidal means ups and downs. That's how a sine wave moves. It's a peak and it's a valley, and it never ends. And that's how life can be. But even in a sine wave, when you average them all out, there is a constant signal that goes through that's flat. And that's kind of like the source of just different things. And if we can like acknowledge that flat signal in our life, flat not as in like a negative sense, but like there is this constant string that exists. And let me walk that one, right? You know, you're going to have those ups, you're going to have those downs, but understand that there's always an average, and that average is going to be flat. It's going to be in the middle of all that. So I just, you know, like I said, man, like we are complex beings. We live in a complex world, but there's also a lot of simplicity in much of what's going on. If we just take the time to just sit back and acknowledge it and recognize these things and be okay with it. Be okay with everything not being good. I'm becoming more comfortable with the idea of being human in public. Like there's this thing in startup where people talk about building in public, which is when someone builds a business and they're basically being transparent, talking about all the stuff that they're going through, the wins and the failures. But I think that we don't do that enough as people, as humans, and say, I had a really shitty day. That's why I appreciate when we first opened up, you told me about your situation. We need more of that. Like when people say, you know, things did not go good today. When someone asks you, how are you doing today? It's okay to say, not too good. I'm not doing well today. The default is always, oh, I'm good, you know.
Yeah.
And you dealing with a whole bunch of shit. So.
Yeah. Lying to everybody else and yourself. Yeah. Or maybe trying to convince them. I don't know. But no, I feel that. Yeah. I love that. Cool, brother. Well, I appreciate you so much for sharing so much. Like, I love conversations where they do this, and
I hope I didn't bore you too much, man. I didn't bore you too much.
Oh my God,
man.
Bar. You did. Louis, stop. You didn't bore me, bro. You got me over here. You got me over here thinking deep. Philosophy. I minored in philosophy, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So
you're like ocean deep. Like
like that. Like you, I was just.
See, man, I'm more like kiddie pool deep. Like I'm not ocean deep. I'm like kiddie pool, like maybe up to the shins, and then people.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah. Like, but you can go super high. That's the thing. I can't go like.
Okay.
Like that's the thing. Oh man, but that's so funny. So like, I'm thinking just very deeply, ocean deep, about like some of the things that you shared, because there's just so many overlapping themes and things that I've talked about and are currently thinking about and pondering even about my own life around. There are days where like it's just shitty. I don't know why I feel as sad as I do. I'm just sad. I was like a few days ago, like Thursday, I was just last Thursday or Friday, just feeling just shitty. Yeah. And I just played video games all day, didn't fill out any applications, didn't do anything. That's what I did. And it didn't walk. I didn't work out. I didn't do anything. And then the very next day, I went to the gym. I had multiple conversations. Like everything was great. So, like I think it's just what you're saying is like just like it's okay to be human.
It is okay to be. It is okay to feel shitty. Like there's nothing wrong with that, man. Just as much as it's okay to feel happiness from joining a great podcast called Highly Visible and a Little Misunderstood.
I appreciate it. Awesome. Well, you actually already answered the last question I always ask folks as far as like what's bringing you joy right now. You talked about, what was it? It was
a lot. Film. It was
Family Film Friday. I don't know.
Just, Film Family
Fridays. Was that it?
Yep.
Okay.
It.
There it is.
That's it.
So I love that. But I would last thing then besides that question. What would you say to someone who feels overwhelmed and kind of unsure how to access joy, or maybe even because we talked about emotions too, any kind of other emotion, like in their lane or sphere of influence, or even in their life more broadly, what would you say to them based off of your experience?
Well, I say to them as far as them acknowledging it, or just how to tackle it, deal with it.
Yes. How
Okay.
to deal with it or process it, maybe. Yeah.
Process it. I would say embrace it. Whatever that feeling is, all our emotions are, that's our spirit inside of us speaking towards something, right? That not I'm not talking about, the celestial spirit in the sky, the energy. I'm talking about the one that lives in every single person. That is that thing speaking to you. So if you feel a level of anger, right? Well, you got to tap into it and figure out, why am I really angry? Am I angry because, you know, the kids broke my vase? Or am I angry because that vase cost $3,000 and that was a lot of money, and I can't get back, and it was a family heirloom or something, or But what I'm trying to get at is, like, embrace whatever emotion you have, and really do the work of trying to find and discover, where is that coming from? Where is that emotion coming from? The deep level. And then if you can find that and grab that, that gives you an opportunity to work through that emotion. And now that I think about that, that sounds like some really deep Will Smith shit, like right there.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the point is this: just learn how to deal with that, man. And honestly, I'm still trying to discover that superpower myself. Is like, how do I deal with my own emotions? So
Yeah.
that's what I would say, man. Same thing goes for joy. What made me
That's
happy, and can you repeat it? So
Yeah, I love it. Appreciate you, brother. All right. Well, where can folks tap in? This was such a dope conversation. I appreciate, again, your vulnerability, honesty, and just invitation to embrace the different parts and aspects of our emotions and humanity. So where can folks tap into what you're doing, and kind of get more of these like tidbits of wisdom?
Oh, I love it. The only social media I'm on these days is LinkedIn.
Okay.
I kicked everybody else to the curb, and LinkedIn they're approaching it if they keep cutting up.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you can find me on LinkedIn. It is Louis Byrd, LOUISBYRD. And there's another Louis Byrd who's older than me. But look for the one with the kufi on and glasses.
Okay.
That's me. And then my company website, for people who are interested in the work that we do around design and responsible innovation, you can find me at www.zanago, and that's spelled ZANAGO, so Zan and Go, so ZANAGO.XYZ. And from there you can learn about our products that we're building, the services that we offer, and our thoughts with some of the writing and stuff that we do. So that's where you can find
Sweet. That's what's up. I will be sure to plug all of that into the show notes and the podcast description and everything like that, to make it nice and easy for folks to just go ahead and
Well, man, why you have me
tap
spelling
in.
everything out then, man? If you was gonna do that, you are something else, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Something else.
I'll fix it in post. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
This was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, y'all. Till next time. Peace. Oh. I every year on my birthday, my mom will give me a call. It was my birthday this week, y'all. Shout out me. And she'll ask, like, she'll sing me happy birthday, but then what is the lesson that you learned in the previous year? And this year for me, the lesson was there was a lesson there, but basically, like, just becoming friends with my emotions. and becoming a more whole person has been a big learning for me this year. And in reflection, because I always get super reflective around my birthday, I I realized like for a majority of this year, I I haven't really felt like really aligned. I haven't really felt like super joyful. I haven't really felt like, locked in with myself compared to like previous years. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I just have felt like just unbalanced job search, life stuff, all kinds of things have happened this year in my own personal life, but in the world in general. And so it's just really hard to kind of like stay at an emotional baseline that I could say feels like any kind of normal. Like it's just very difficult. Um, but that was just like fascinating to me that like that was my takeaway. And it's really serendipitous that like this is the conversation again, like on the heels of Abe's conversation from last week around like coming back to that baseline, breathing, somatics, presence with self, different things like that. Um, and just in my reflective time, like taking those deep breaths, trying to connect with self, being present with self, and realizing, God damn, like I have been experiencing like a level of sadness this past year. Like it's actually kind of wild, like how much of this year I've felt being sad, not depressed, sad. And there's a clear difference. I talked to my therapist about it the other week, but I'm not gonna get into that. But like it's so interesting, like how in previous years I would have just like stayed there or tried to push it away and not like be that like choose like be joyful, choose joy, yada yada. But like the difference for me has been kind of like radical in like embracing the sadness and me being okay with like not being okay. And I don't know, it just hits different, right? Like, and we talked about this where joy doesn't always have to show up loud and rambunctious and confetti and puppy, all that stuff. Like it can, and I have experienced moments like that. Like I truly have. When we were in Panama, I got to hang out with sloths for an entire day. Like, come on now. But what I appreciated and what I was reminded from this conversation, and really what I'm taking away from this, is that joy isn't just about avoiding the hard stuff. It isn't. It's about showing up, when you can, when you have the energy, but doing it with intention. Finding your finding your lane, and really like trusting that the impact or the things or the direction that you're heading is enough. Because for some people, for you, for me, for whoever, in those moments, in that time, that's as much as you can give. And that's okay. That is completely all right. Because it's okay not to be okay. And apparently, in that conversation with my mom, like that was a lesson that she told me. And that was a lesson that I taught her. And she reminds me that I taught her. And it's always, every time you say something that's good, and people remind you of it, it's just really good to know. But I think I needed to hear that. And it's a helpful reminder. And I want to pass it on to you. It's okay not to be okay. That sometimes shit sucks. Life is chaotic. Circumstances are very, very difficult. But I think one of the things, again, that Louis shared with us is that in life, there are problems. There are so many problems. And some of them are incredibly complex. But there are solutions. There are so many solutions. And so being solution oriented and sometimes the only solution that you got is just to take that one next step forward. Like, what is the next faithful step that you can take? And that is the solution, and that is enough. Sometimes it isn't solving all of hunger in the entire United States, which there is people be hungry, right? It is like, as Louis said, it's really like coming together within your community and trying to come together and solve that person. It might be supporting and paying a little bit of groceries for somebody else. It really is like some things that are in our sphere of influence. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place, y'all. This was just like this episode, between Abe's episode and this episode, I was just all up in my feels, and my birthday. Like, it was a really emotionally difficult and hard month for me. So I'm all over the place, but y'all get me. Y'all catch what I'm saying. So I want to invite y'all, as we've been doing all season long, I want to invite you to answer any of the prompts that we have for you. You know what I mean? But this one in particular, this week, how have you found joy in the work, in your daily life, in this season of life, when things have been difficult, when things feel heavy, when things are frustrating? How have you, chosen a solution, or maybe done something in your sphere of influence to like keep moving forward? I'd love to hear from you. You can drop a comment or send a voice note using the joy form below in the description, or you could just email us, highlyvisible@gmail.com, highlyvisiblepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And again, just a reminder, y'all, there's a few easy ways to support the show. Number one, again, we are trying to do that sub goal. Our sub goal is 100 folks on YouTube. We can do it. I want to do it by the end of August. It's very possible. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, like, comment. Really helps us get in the mix for the algorithms, help other folks find the show. If you are on the audio side, you can leave us a 5-star rating or a review. Would be super dope. Again, it really helps folks discover the show. And for YouTube watchers, audio listeners, bonus points for you all. If you just subscribe everywhere, you won't miss when we drop. And then finally, you can support us, and this is for everybody, financially by clicking the coffee link in the show description. This helps Reggie keep getting paid every single month and the lights on, because this thing is not free. All right, y'all, that is it from me. Till next time. Peace.